नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताकस्वामिनिति नामिने नमो आचार्यपादाय निताय कृपप्रदायिने गौरकथादामदाय नगरग्रामतारिणे नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशकारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण. So welcome everyone for this Sunday youth program. So anyone knows today's topic? You must have seen that pamphlet and all. So sorry?
Never trust your mind.
Yes. Never trust your mind. I thought somebody would have forgotten. Don't trust your mind. So, never trust your mind. That is a topic we are going to discuss today. So, generally people say, no, he is very dangerous person. Don't trust him. Because they are not favorable. They may become against, so don't trust them. But some people are trustworthy. We can believe them, we can trust them, they are favorable. There are two categories. So there is another category that we think that they are trustworthy people, they are favorable to us, they are with us, but suddenly they become against. So in that way, for example, you have a bodyguard. Bodyguard, he has a gun and he is meant to protect you. And if some danger comes, then he should fight with the danger and he should protect you. That is the role of a bodyguard. So he is with you with the gun and suddenly he is showing gun to you. So that is the situation. So similarly, the mind, it may looks like he is favorable to us. Sometimes we think like let me go there, let me be happy, let me enjoy there, let me go with the friends, roam around, and do this, do that, go to movies, all these things. So when Sunday morning we plan our day, we think that we go to mall, this, that, so many things. And when we think that, okay, evening Bhagavad Gita class, okay, let me go to Bhagavad Gita class. Mind will say, no, why you have to go there? It's boring. Why you are going there? Let me go to some other place, let's enjoy. So that is a mind nature. But when we think like this, so let me go to movies, we think that mind is telling something good. If I go there, I'll enjoy. I can be happy. But that is not true. This is a trap. The mind, it looks like it is telling some good advice to you. Let me follow. Then finally we get into the trap. So when we think that let me go there, let me do this, who is telling all these things? Who is telling? Mind. So my mind is telling to me. So I am not the mind, correct? So this is my head, this is my hand, this is my leg. So this is my mind. So I am not the mind, correct? So from Bhagavad Gita we understand that we are not the mind, we are not body, we are not intelligence, we are not senses, we are soul. Sorry. So, as we are soul, we meant to serve Krishna. But mind, mind is meant to protect us. Mind is meant to give a good advice to us. But it is deviating us. It is deviating from the actual path. So, when we think that, no, let me enjoy our senses, no, let me be happy, let me go there, here and there, these things. So we try to enjoy, but finally it will backfire us. So it is not the ultimate happiness what we get by hearing to our mind. So but sometimes we think that, no, we go to movies and we try to enjoy, but what is wrong in that? Now, if I try to enjoy in that way, what is wrong in that? I am trying to be happy. I'm not doing harm to anyone. I'm not trying to disturb anyone. I'm trying to be happy. What is wrong in that? So generally the question comes. But actually the nature of the soul is Anandamayo Abhyasat. Anandamayo Abhyasat means always we are in bliss. We want to be in bliss. That is the nature of the soul. Always we try to seek pleasure. Always we try to enjoy. Always we try to be happy. Anyone wants to be sad here? Anyone wants some distress? Nobody will say that I want this. Nobody will try for that. So that is the nature of soul, to be happy always. But we are looking for it in a different platform, in a different place where it is not available. In Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned that dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This is place of misery and this is temporary. So, but always mind will lead us for this temporary material enjoyment. So we always, when we hear the advice of mind, then we come into the trap. So actually, mind, in Bhagavad Gita it is said, Bhumi Rapo Analo Vayu Kammano Buddhi Revacha Ahankar Itiyame Bhinna Prakriti Ashtada. All these 8 items, they are all my Bhinna Prakriti, the separated energy of mind, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So, but soul, we as soul, we are not the Bhinna Prakriti. We are part of, we are spiritual energy. We are not material energy. So as a spirit soul, we are spiritual. We cannot enjoy with the connection with the material things. As we are spirit soul, we can be happy only in the spiritual platform, not in the material platform. Like fish, it can be happy only in water. Now you take out the fish from the water, then you feed whatever and you give whatever money, and it will not be happy. So fish, it meant to be in water, and we as a spirit soul, we can be happy only in the spiritual platform, not in the material platform. Okay. So as our nature, it is Anandamayo Abhyasat. So we want to be in blissful nature. So but that we may not get in this material world. So always mind as a part of the Bhinna Prakriti of Krishna. So when we associate with the mental pleasure or which is associated with these material things, we cannot be happy. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Uddaret atmanatmanam atmanam asavat avasadayet atmaiva hyatmano bandhur atmaiva ripuratmanaha. So this sloka comes in the 6th chapter. So the translation is, one must deliver himself with the help of his mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. So here it is mentioned, Uddaret atmanatmanam. With the mind, we should try to elevate ourselves. We should Uddaret. The word also, in Hindi also it might be there, I think. Uddaret atmanatmanam. So one must deliver himself with the help of mind. One should elevate, one should progress in life with the mind, not degrade himself. Avasadayed, it is mentioned. Avasadayed means degrade. And atmaiva hyatmano bandhur, atmaiva ripuratmanaha. Bandhu means, everyone knows, bandhu means a relationship or friend also it means. And ripu means enemy. The mind is friend of conditioned soul and also enemy. It depends how we are treating the mind. So, but generally, outside there are some motivational speakers. They also speak about mind control. So they say that they also say never trust mind. It will deviate you from the path. You have to achieve your goal, focus on the goal, like that. But they don't know the actual goal of life. They say that you focus on the goal and you become rich, you become famous. They give all these advices. But that is not the actual goal of life. The goal of life, as we got this human form of life, in this human form of life, our goal should be to come out of this repeated birth and death. So, that should be the goal of life. The goal of life is to serve Krishna. So, but the so-called motivational speakers, they don't speak this. But in Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned that the goal of life is to serve Krishna. In this human form of life, we should now try to come out of this repeated birth and death. That is the goal of life. So why from the philosophical point we can understand one thing. In Chaitanya Charitamrita it is mentioned that Krishna boli se jiva anadi bahirmukha atayeva maya thare deya samsara dukkha. It is mentioned. Krishna boli. So why a living entity is suffering in this material world? The reason is given is Krishna Buli. We forgot Krishna. Krishna Buli se jiva anadi bahirmukha. Anadi means Adi means source. Anadi means there is no source. There is no eternal, you can say. Eternally, we are in the forgetful nature of Krishna. And Anadi Bahirmukha. Bahirmukha means we are trying to enjoy independently of Krishna. We are against, we are competing with Krishna. Anadi Bahirmukha. It is eternally, we cannot trace out. Anadi in the sense, there is a source, but we cannot trace out that. Like in mathematics they say, point has no length and breadth. Is it true? Is it true? Yes. Okay. But actually point has length and breadth, but we cannot measure that. It is so minute that we will not be able to measure that. So they say that the point has no length and breadth. Sorry?
Usually the definition of point is like that. It is a dimensionless something like.
Okay.
10th standard I was told.
Yes. But generally the statement they say this point has no length and breadth. But we are not able to measure that, that's why we say like this. So here it is said eternally we are forgetful of Krishna. So eternally in the sense it is not like there is no, we cannot trace out when we now started behaving like this. And there is no end also. Eternally means also it means that eternally we are forgetful in the sense we don't know when we will gain back our original consciousness. We cannot say when I will become liberated or when I will gain my spiritual nature. We cannot say that. Anadi it is mentioned. So when the living entity forgets his constitutional position as an eternal servant of Krishna, he is immediately entrapped by the illusory external energy. So external energy, it is mentioned, we discussed already what is the external energy. That there are 8: earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence and false ego. These are the external energy of Lord. So now, when the conditioned soul, when we forget Krishna, immediately we come under the control of external energy. But actually we are not meant to control by the external energy. So we are marginal energy. Now as we see, there are three types of energy of Krishna. So one is Antaranga Shakti, the second is Tatasya Shakti, and third is Bahiranga Shakti. In English we say internal energy, marginal energy and external energy. There are three kinds of energy. So we belong to marginal energy. Marginal energy in the sense we are in the border. So anytime we can switch to internal energy, or anytime we can switch, we can in the sense we may switch to internal energy, or we may switch to external energy. In the sense we are coming under the control of internal energy, coming under the control of external energy, sometimes here, there, like that. So it's with the example we can understand that when you go to a seashore, so when you there is a land part and there is a water. So in between, if you stand, sometimes the waves comes and touches your feet and then again goes back. Again comes, touches and go back. No? That is like a border. No? So when we are in the border, sometimes we are wet, sometimes we are dry. No? So that is the position of conditioned soul, living entity, no? Marginal energy. Sometimes we are remembering Krishna and sometimes we are forgetting Krishna. So when we remember Krishna, we are happy, and when we forget Krishna, we are under the control of external energy and under the control of Bahiranga Shakti, and we are suffering in this material world. So what the solution is, you come little far in the land part. When you come little far, then water cannot touch. So that is what we have to come more under the control of internal energy. So how to do that? No? So everything is centered in with the mind now. So mind, sometimes we know that no, it is correct. Sometimes we know that it is wrong. We know that it is wrong, but still something is pushing. You know? I know it is wrong, but still let me do it. Some push is there. We are under the control of guna. Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya durataya, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. So it's very difficult to come. Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya durataya. It's very difficult to overcome this maya Shakti, external energy or Bahiranga Shakti. So the mind is so flicker that we know something is wrong, but still some push is there. So then we have to train our mind. Training in the sense, we can get degraded by this engaging in the sense gratification, and trying to enjoy like that. But from the Shastras we can understand that this will degrade us. So we have to educate our mind and we have to train the mind. By training the mind, then we can make the mind as our friend. If you don't train the mind, then mind can become against us. So that's why it is said, Bandhu and Ripu. Mind can become a friend and mind also can become an enemy. So it depends how we are training our mind. So with the Shastras, we have to educate the mind. So in Upanishad, there is one example, there is one analogy given. how to control the mind. Like imagine there is a chariot, and the chariot is connected with the 5 horses. The 5 horses, we can compare it with our 5 senses. So the 5 senses, 5 horses are there. The 5 horses all are tied with ropes, and the driver who is driving the chariot, he is holding that rope, and the passenger sitting behind. Okay, you can imagine this is a chariot which is connected with the horse, and there are ropes, and driver is controlling the rope, and the passenger is sitting behind. Okay, so the 5 horses are compared to the 5 senses, and the rope which is controlling the horses, the rope is mind, and the driver who is controlling the rope is intelligence, and the passenger who is sitting behind is we soul. We are sitting as a passenger, and the chariot is the body, this body. We are in this body. So in this pamphlet also, this picture we have put today. If you have a mobile phone, you can see it is there in the group. So if we try to analyze this analogy, if you want to ride this chariot in a proper way, what we should do, the driver should control the horses with the ropes. Correct? Okay. So here driver is the intelligence, rope is mind, the horses are the senses. So directly we cannot control our senses. Now forcibly we cannot stop our senses. Like for example, we want to enjoy, we want to see some beautiful sceneries, and we want to taste something good food like this. The senses always want to enjoy, but forcibly we cannot control the senses. So how we can control the horses? With the rope, okay, with the mind. Mind is the master of all the senses. Correct? So the mind should tell the servants, the masters, the senses, that this is not good. We are not supposed to do this. But sometimes mind also get carried away. I know this is right, but still let me do it. I know this is good, but still not now, later we do. Many times we meet people, we say, read Bhagavad Gita, not now, it is all in old age, let me see later. The mind will not accept things which is favorable to us, which is good to us. Always, the mind has a nature, accepting and rejecting. That is the nature of mind. So, but the mind always think, in the enjoying platform. So in what way I can enjoy? In that way only my mind thinks. So mind is controlled by the intelligence. The driver is controlling the rope. Correct? So with the intelligence we have to control the mind. So how we can get the intelligence? From the Shastras. From Shastras we have to understand that what is ultimately good for us and what is not good. So if you see in the material point of view, materially if something looks like good or some things look like bad, but materially good and bad, both are bad only. Like when we engage in the spiritual activities, it means you serve Krishna, you read Bhagavad Gita, you chant Hare Krishna, you sing some kirtan, you come to temple. These are all spiritual activities. These spiritual activities are the ultimate good for the soul. But materially, whatever good we do, that is also bad only. Like for example, many people are into this pious activity, helping people and all these things. So you help people, you get punya, you get some pious credit. It's like you consider a bank account, it is a positive account. So you accumulate that positive account and you will get the result. To enjoy that positive account, you have to come back here to this material world. Of course, if you do some sinful activity, if you do some bad activity, again, we get result, we have to suffer. For suffering, we have to again come back to this material world. But we cannot cross this material world by doing so-called pious activities. So only spiritual things are good. But mind always has this nature that accepting and rejecting. Mind will accept whatever is the mental pleasure. When we hear some songs, oh, it's sounding so good, then it will accept. But this is mind always thinks in a sensual platform. So we have to, there is a hierarchy, the senses are there, and then on top of the senses mind, and on top of mind intelligence and the soul. And on top of soul, super soul is there. That is the next point. But now we are discussing about these things. Mind always, when we are in the sensual platform, always mind thinks in the sensual pleasure. What pleasure I'll get. Like that. So with the intelligence, we have to control the mind. So with the intelligence, we have to educate the mind. Sometimes the intelligence also fails. When some situation comes, at that time, we might have read that this is not good. We know that intelligence understood that this is not correct. But still, the intelligence also fails sometimes, because the senses are so powerful that it agitates. At that time, mind also fails and the intelligence also fails. So that's why Krishna says, Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya durataya maam evaye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So Daivi esha gunamayi mama maya durataya. Mama maya means it's my maya. Durataya, it is very difficult to overcome. It is not easy. But it is not impossible. It is possible. How it is possible? It says, Maam evaye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Maam, me. Maam evaye prapadyante. When someone surrenders to me, mayam etam tarantite. Easily we can overcome this maya. So the senses fails, mind fails, intelligence also fails sometimes. So as a soul, so we have to take shelter of Krishna. So when we engage in the service of Krishna, when we engage in the spiritual activities, by the mercy of Krishna, then we can control the mind with our intelligence. So we have to use the spiritual intelligence. We have to take shelter of Shastras. So when we read from the Shastra, we can understand what is ultimately good for the soul, what is ultimately good for us, basically. But in case if we are not able to control the mind, what happens? The chariot analogy we discussed. So mind is not controlled, the rope is not under the control, the driver is not fit. He is not able to control the rope, and the horses, 5 horses, all are going in different direction. They are not going in a particular same direction. All 5 horses going in 5 different direction. Then how the chariot cannot move? And it cannot move, or it may collapse, it may fall into a ditch. Completely it will collapse. So that is what will happen when we are not able to control the mind. So it is said, Bandhu and Ripu. Bandhu means friend, Ripu means enemy. So we have to train our mind to be our friend. So when we train our mind, when the mind is our friend, then we can control our senses. Then the chariot will go properly. Otherwise it is not possible. Otherwise it will fall in the ditch. Like for example, if you go in the forest or somewhere in the field, you see there is a well, but that well people might not use for many long time, and it might have filled with grass. We may not be able to see there is a well, but it is covered with grass. But when we walk, suddenly when we fall into the well, it is not easy to come out from that blind well. We say it is blind well. In Bhagavatam it is mentioned it is Andha Kupam. Andha means blind, Kupam means well. So when someone falls into the blind well, Andha Kupam, when we fall only, we cannot say that we will be alive. We may die. But in some cases, if we are alive, but it is very dangerous situation. In Andha Kupam, in a sense, many years they might have not used that well. It is covered with grasses and all. Inside there are some poisonous snakes and so many things will be there. If anybody would have seen that kind of well, then you will understand. There is no water in that. So it is all poisonous, say snake and all these creatures will be there. It is not easy to come out. We cannot come out personally with our endeavor. Someone should help. Someone should throw a rope. We can hold that rope and we can come out. So without help, with our personal endeavor, we cannot come out. So that's what, when our mind is not controlled, so we tend to fall in this Andha Kupam. Because blind well in the sense we didn't have the knowledge from the Shastra. Without knowledge, when we walk, blind person if he walks, then anytime he may hit somewhere, it is not safe. So Andha Kupam, in the sense the blind well, the conditioned soul who is not having the Shastra Chakshu, the vision through Shastra. So without that Shastric knowledge, when we lead our life, then it will lead us to this Andha Kupam. So we have to sharpen our intelligence with the Shastra. When our intelligence is sharp, then our mind is automatically controlled. Then when the mind is controlled, then the servants, senses, they are automatically controlled. But artificial means we cannot control. Like as we discussed in the beginning, that there are motivational speakers, they speak like, no, you can do it, you can achieve it, think positive, all these things they say. So in that way we cannot control our mind. In that way, it is not possible to control the mind. So we have to take shelter of Shastra. So from the Shastra we have to sharpen our intelligence. So with the intelligence we have to control the mind. So as we are discussing, the topic today is never trust your mind. So never trust your mind in the sense, blindly we cannot say anyone that he is my enemy, he is my friend. We cannot say like this. Like we are walking on the road, someone is walking in front of us, we cannot say that he is my enemy, he is my friend. We don't know who is that. So but how we will say a person who is enemy or friend? By the mutual understanding with the person, how he is behaving with us. With that only we will understand. So the mind, how we can understand that he is a friend or enemy? The mind should lead us to the ultimate goal of life. So then we can consider mind as our friend. Otherwise we can consider mind as our enemy. So it depends how we are taming our mind. So in Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned that bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaiva atmanajitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaiva shatruvat. It said, for him who has conquered the mind is the best of friends. But for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. So if we control our mind is our best friend. Because mind is under our control in the sense, the soul, intelligence and the hierarchy, what we saw. With the intelligence, the mind is controlled. So then the mind is the best friend. So if the mind is not controlled, it is the greatest enemy. As we discussed that analogy, it may push us into the andakupam. So then never trust your mind, in the sense, till you control your mind, we cannot trust our mind. So we have to take shelter of Shastra. From the Shastric point of view, we have to understand that as we are soul, we are not this body, we are meant to serve Krishna. So when we take shelter of Krishna, then easily we can come out of this Maya, this external energy. So that is the only way to control mind. We have to take shelter of Krishna. So that's what Krishna says, Davi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Durataya Mam Evaya Prapadyante Maya Metam Tarantite. So when someone is taking shelter of Krishna, then it is possible. So in Bhagavatam it is mentioned that when we take shelter of Krishna, a big ocean, it shrinks into the calf's hoof print. Calf, calf. The calf's hoof print, in that space how much water will be there? Just we can cross it. The big ocean, it shrinks like a small calf's hoof print. So with our endeavor we cannot control our mind, or we cannot cross over this material existence. So when we take shelter of Krishna, all difficult things, it becomes easy. So we say generally take shelter of Krishna, in a sense, we cannot directly take shelter of Krishna. How can I take shelter of Krishna? So when we take shelter of Guru, then the Guru will guide us how to take shelter of Krishna. So it is said, what is it? The seventh stanza, Guru Ashtak. Before that, Sakshad Haritvena Samasta Shastrai. So Guru, we should consider as good as God. That Guru is not God, we should consider, because Guru is the one who is showing who is God. So when we take shelter of Guru, then we can take shelter of Krishna. So take shelter of Krishna in the sense, we are in this material world. Someone might have been studying or working, something like that. We have to keep Krishna in the center, and we have to do our activities. So in our activities there is no changes. We have to change our consciousness from material consciousness to spiritual consciousness. Like for example, everyone eats food. So the food what we are making, we can offer to Lord, and then we can take it as a prasadam. Everyone wants to hear some music, we can hear kirtan. Everyone wants to watch some beautiful things. Now we can come to a temple, we can take darshan of deities. And in this way, we have to change our consciousness. When we change our consciousness, this is like material life, spiritual life. In a sense, material life can be spiritualized. An iron rod, if you keep in the fire, it becomes warm, and it becomes warmer, and finally it becomes red hot. So that then the iron rod is no more iron rod, it is fire. If you touch the iron rod, it will burn. So that is iron rod, but it became fire. So when we are in this material body, when we are in this material world, we have to spiritualize this material body, the material senses, by engaging in the service of the Lord. So in that way we can take shelter of Krishna. So in that way we can control our mind. So when our mind is controlled, then we can trust. Because mind is under the control, then we can trust. So when it is not under the control, then never trust the mind. Okay. Anyway, Hare Krishna. Any questions regarding this? And discuss.
Generally we see in this society, everything is there to agitate the mind.
Yes.
So in such a difficult condition, like we have to go to schools and colleges everywhere. So in such a difficult condition, how can we do this? Something what we can apply in day-to-day life, control the mind.
So as we see, we walk on the road, there are so many billboards we can see. Buy this, buy that, like that. So all this propaganda is there. Everything is based on agitating us. Like for example, there is a tire advertisement, but there is a woman. Where is the connection between a woman and the tire advertisement? But it is just to promote their product, to agitate. That is the nature. It became like this. Everyone into the sense gratification. So that is a see. When we go out, we see all these things. So as we discussed, the senses will get agitated. So the senses are controlled by the mind. Then we have to use our intelligence. With the intelligence, we have to understand from the Shastra we read. Now, when we engage in the sense gratification, so it will backfire. So we have to understand with the intelligence, we have to apply our intelligence. So that intelligence also sometimes fails, as we discussed. So we have to sharpen our intelligence. Like for example, there is one story regarding this. There is two woodcutters. They are cutting their wood. Both of them are cutting, but one person is taking some a gap from cutting. So what he is doing, he is sharpening the blade. The other person, he is keep on cutting, but after some time the blade, the sharpness goes. So he will not be able to cut properly. But he is continuously cutting, but he is taking some time gap, but still he will be able to cut more. So we have to continuously sharpen our intelligence with the Shastra. We have to continuously every day. Srila Prabhupada has given some program that every day we have to get up at this time. We get up generally very early at 4 o'clock. We get up and then we offer Mangalarati, we chant our Hare Krishna, Japa, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we chant and we hear Bhagavatam and we do engage in the seva. We engage, we associate with the devotees. And there is a reading program also. Every day, Prabhupada mentions that every day, minimum 2 hours we have to read Shastra. So when we are preaching from the Shastra, first we have to learn from the Shastra. So when we learn from the Shastra, then we can teach others. So this is a program given by Prabhupada. So we have to continuously sharpen our intelligence with the Shastra. So when our intelligence is sharp, then we can discriminate. So then our mind will not fall prey in the agitation. Senses will demand so much, but they're like a poisonous snake. If you cut the poisonous teeth, even though it is poisonous snake, then it cannot do anything. So the poisonous teeth is that we have to sharpen the intelligence from the Shastra. So when our intelligence is sharp, then mind is automatically controlled, then the senses are controlled. The senses will not agitate us. So when we go to schools, colleges, now everything is degraded. Everyone wants to enjoy the senses. It's like this. So regularly we read Shastra. Regularly we hear from Guru. The Shravanam Kirtanam is very important aspect of bhakti. So every day, as Prabhupada has given the program, we have to follow that program. When we hear continuously, when we hear Shravana and Kirtana. This is very important. We chant Hare Krishna mantra and then we hear from the Shastra. So it's like a bhakti lata. Seed is given, bhakti. Regularly we have to water it with the Shastra. When we take Diksha from a Guru, the seed is given by the Guru. You plant the seed, and after that if you just leave it, then it will not grow. Regularly we have to water the seed, then it will become like a plant, and then it grows. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita it is mentioned that Bhakti Lata Bija. Bhakti Lata means plant, Bhakti Lata Bija. The Bija is given to us, so we have to water it regularly, so then we can avoid this agitation. Anything else? Questions?
Thank you for the wonderful lecture. So mind in Sanskrit we call it Manas.
Manas.
Kannada Manas.
Yes.
So I just wanted to read from 17th chapter 16th sloka. Here it is written, Mana prasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraha bhava samshuddhir iti etat tapo manasam uchyate. Here Krishna tells that serenity, simplicity, gravity, self-control and purity of thought are the austerities of the mind.
Yes.
Once we follow these, we will just controlling the mind.
Yes.
So we just read the purpose. To make the mind austere is to detach it from sense gratification. It should be so trained that it cannot be always thinking of doing good for others. The best training for the mind is gravity in thought. One should not deviate from Krishna consciousness and must always avoid sense gratification. To purify one's nature is to become Krishna conscious. Satisfaction of the mind can be obtained only by taking the mind away from the thoughts of sense enjoyment. The more we think of sense enjoyment, the more the mind becomes dissatisfied. In the present age, we unnecessarily engage the mind in so many different ways for sense gratification, and so there is no possibility of the mind becoming satisfied. The best course is to divert the mind to the Vedic literature, which is full of satisfying stories, as in the Puranas and Mahabharata. One can take advantage of this knowledge and thus become purified. The mind should be devoid of duplicity, and one should think of the welfare of all. Silence means the one is always thinking of self-realization. The person in Krishna consciousness observes perfect silence in this sense. Control of the mind means detaching the mind from sense enjoyment. One should be straightforward in his dealing and thereby purify his existence. All these qualities together constitute austerity in mental activities.
The austerity of mind. So, avoiding the mind, engaging from sense gratification, that is the biggest austerity. So the austerity is given, like in ISKCON, like if someone wants to get Diksha initiated, so there are some regulative principles to follow. If someone would have read some books, then you might have come across with this. Like there are 4 regulative principles we have to follow. That is no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. So if we can follow these things, this is the biggest austerity in this Kali Yuga. So, austerity of mind. The mind will agitate. We know that we have to strictly follow these regulative principles. But when we come out and when we mingle with the materialistic people, then immediately mind will get agitated, and then the senses will lose control. It's very difficult to control. So, as it is mentioned in this purport, sense gratification, we have to avoid sense gratification. That is the biggest austerity of mind. So the sense gratification, all sense gratification we can classify into these 4. No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex. So if we can follow these 4, then this is the biggest austerity we can follow in this Kali Yuga. Anyway, any other questions, comments?
Why we should follow the austerity? Like I told that if we chanting rounds, it is okay.
Okay.
We will do we will come as the austerity.
Okay.
So why it is necessary to follow the four everyday
Okay.
festivals?
Human life is meant to practice austerity. Animals, they cannot do this. Animals, whenever they want, they can do whatever they want. So if we are also doing the same, then we are also like Dvipada Pashu, it is mentioned.
So, like our chanting is also counted as austerity, no?
Yeah. No, chanting is for purifying. But when we chant, we have to be pure. Like for example, you are not following these regulative principles. No? For example, you are not following and you are committing all sinful activities. And you are committing sinful activities and then you chant. What is the benefit of chanting? In Chaitanya Charitamrita it is mentioned, the offensive chanting, we can chant millions of lifetimes. We will not get the proper result. We may get some result, but we may not get love of God. That is the ultimate result what we are getting by chanting. That we may not get. We can chant millions of lives continuously, but we will not get that. That the austerity we have to do to purify ourselves. The tapasya. The tapasya animals cannot do. The humans can do. By doing tapasya, we have to purify ourselves. We have so much contamination in our heart. 6 kind of contaminations. You might have read. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsarya. There are 6 kind of contaminations. So, till we get rid of this contamination, we will not become pure. And till we become pure, then we will not be able to chant purely. Then we will not achieve the goal. Everything stops. So the austerity, the tapasya is very much required to purify ourselves.
Something like food for the soul. Something like
Like why you should not eat meat?
Because it is sinful.
Why it is counted as sinful?
to eating another body.
Like when we are the vegetarian,
Yeah.
we are eating also, we are committing sin.
Yeah, in Bhagavad Gita it is mentioned, Krishna says that a person is eating food without offering to me, he is not eating food, he is eating sin. Even though you are eating vegetarian food. But if you don't offer to Lord, if you don't take it as a prasadam, then that is considered a sin. But comparatively it is less. Even many are eating, that they say that no, I am not eating non-veg, I am eating only vegetarian. But still there is some sin. So we don't say that follow vegetarianism. We say that follow Krishnatarianism. Prabhupada says this. So vegetarian or non-vegetarian, both are sin only, but comparatively it is less and more like that. But even though if you eat vegetarian, that is also counted as sin. But we have to offer to Lord. Then there is a question comes, then I'll eat non-vegetarian, I'll offer to Lord and take. What is the issue? Then Krishna also says, Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. This Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, these things, Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. You offer this to me with love, I will accept it. These things you offer to me and you take. Krishna is recommending these things. So then what Krishna is recommending, then we take. Other things we don't take. And what Krishna is recommending, that also we offer to Lord, we take it as a prasadam. Even though outside if you give a delicious vegetarian food, we won't take it. We take only prasadam.
Why probably we should accepting gambling as a sin?
Gambling, there is some speculation. We don't know what will happen. Like today actually we were discussing. There is a betting. This betting and this share market. I don't know much about the share market and all. But still, you invest something and you don't know what will come in return. There is always some speculation. There is also some sense gratification involved in this. What I will get. What I will get. It is there. That speculation mentality will come in the gambling. So we should avoid that. You work, and what you are working, whatever you are getting as a result, then you take it. This gambling is like you invest something and you will get, and you don't know what we will get, how much you will get, and sometimes you get some loss, sometimes you gain more. No, this is tricky. Some speculation is involved in this.
It is about truthfulness.
Yeah.
Our truthfulness is lost.
Yes. Truthfulness is lost. That is very important point. There are 4 pillars of sinful activity, and there are 4 pillars of that. The 4 pillars is like if you indulge in meat eating, you will lose daya, mercy. You are killing someone, so you will lose the quality mercy. And when you indulge in gambling, you lose the truthfulness. When you indulge in illicit sex, you lose the quality of cleanliness.
It is like austerity.
Austerity. And the other one is
Intoxication.
Intoxication is
Lose your purity.
purity.
You lose the purity.
So these 4 pillars of sinful activity, and there are 4 pillars of dharma. So when we indulge in this, the pillar is lost. Then it's like you are sitting on a chair, there is one leg is not there, then how we can sit? It's not possible. So this regulative principles following this austerity we must do to purify ourselves. Alright. Is there any other questions? Then we'll stop. Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita Acidus ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Can stop this record now.